The massive chamber filled with worried voices. 12 different alien species sat around the circular table, their faces showing fear and confusion. 6 months ago, they thought humans were just another weak species to be controlled. Now everything had changed. Admiral Kethvar stood in the center of the room. His tall, insect-like body shook as he spoke. The proud Zephyrian military leader looked nothing like the confident warrior he had been before the war started. "Honored council members," Kethvar began, his voice cracking, "I must report on what happened to our core worlds." The other aliens leaned forward. They had heard rumors, but no one knew the full truth about humanity's counterattack. "The humans came without warning," Kethvar continued. "Our sensors detected nothing. One moment, space was empty. The next, their ships appeared everywhere at once. A small, furry creature named Velnara from the Helix Confederation raised her paw. How many ships did they bring? Our intelligence said humans had a small fleet." Kethvar's mandibles clicked nervously. "That was our mistake. We counted their visible ships. We never saw their hidden ones." The room grew quiet. Every species in the galaxy used the same type of sensors. If those sensors couldn't detect human ships, then no one was safe. "Tell us about the attacks," demanded Grokkan, the massive bear-like representative from the Ursine Empire. "Did they destroy your cities?" "Kill your people?" Kethvar shook his head slowly. "That's what makes this so terrible. They didn't kill anyone. They didn't destroy our cities. They did something much worse." The aliens looked confused. In their experience, war meant destruction and death. "What could be worse than that?" "They studied us," Kethvar explained. "For decades, they listened to our communications. They learned our languages, our customs, our weaknesses. When they attacked, they knew exactly what to target." He activated a holographic display showing Zephyria Prime, the Zephyrian homeworld. The city looked normal from space, but something was wrong. "They didn't bomb our power plants," Kethvar said. "They reprogrammed them. Now our own power grid works against us. They didn't destroy our communication networks. They took control of them. Our own systems now belong to humans." Velnara's fur stood on end. "You mean they can listen to everything we say?" "Worse," Kethvar replied. "They can make our own technology lie to us. Our computers show us false information. Our ships receive fake orders. We cannot trust anything electronic." The council members began to panic. Their entire civilization depended on technology. If humans could control that technology, then they were helpless. Ambassador Thais-Ka, a snake-like being from the Serpent Collective, slithered closer to the display. "How is this possible? We have the most advanced technology in the galaxy." Kethvar laughed bitterly. "We thought we did. But humans see technology differently than we do. We build things to last and to be stable. Humans build things to be changed and improved. Their technology grows and adapts faster than ours." He changed the display to show intercepted human communications. The text scrolled past in a language none of them could read, but the timestamp showed something disturbing. "These messages are from 50 years ago," Kethvar explained. "Humans have been watching us for 5 decades. They know everything about us. Our military tactics, our supply routes, our political systems. They even know which of our leaders can be bribed and which ones will fight to the death." The silence in the chamber was deafening. Every council member was thinking the same thing. If humans knew this much about the Zephyrians, what did they know about everyone else? Grokkan slammed his massive fist on the table. "Then we fight them with strength. No tricks, no technology. Just honest battle." Kethvar's expression grew even more grim. "We tried that too. We sent our best warriors to their mining colonies. These were supposed to be soft targets populated by weak civilian miners. And?" Velnara asked, though she was afraid to hear the answer. "Our warriors never came back," Kethvar whispered. The few who escaped told stories that no one believed. They said the human miners fought like demons. They used mining equipment as weapons. They knew the tunnels so well that they could move in complete darkness. Our soldiers, trained for decades in the art of war, were beaten by humans who dig rocks for a living. The council members exchanged worried glances. If human civilians could defeat trained alien soldiers, what could human soldiers do? Thais-Ka raised another question. "What about their weaknesses?" "Every species has weaknesses." Kethvar activated another display. This one showed biological data about humans. "We studied their physiology. They should be weak. They have no natural armor, no claws, no poison. They can only see a small range of colors. They can't hear high frequencies. By all logic, they should be easy to defeat." "But?" Grokkan prompted. But they compensate for every weakness with tools and tactics, Kethvar explained. They can't see in the dark, so they build devices that see for them. They can't run as fast as a Zephyrian, so they build vehicles. They can't survive in space, so they build ships. Every limitation becomes a reason to create something new. Velnara's voice was small and scared. What do they want from us? That's the most terrifying part, Kethvar replied. We don't know. They haven't made any demands. They haven't tried to occupy our worlds. They just stopped us. Completely. Our military is useless, our technology is compromised, and our people are terrified. The chamber fell silent again, as the full weight of the situation settled on everyone. They had declared war on humanity, thinking it would be an easy victory. Instead, they had awakened something they didn't understand. Ambassador Velnara stood up slowly. Her small, peaceful species had never been involved in galactic conflicts before, but even she could see the truth. We made a terrible mistake, she said quietly. We assumed humans were like us. We thought they would fight like us, think like us, react like us. But they're not like us at all, are they? Kethvar shook his head. No, they're predators. Real predators. Not like the carnivores we know who hunt for food. Humans hunt for survival, for territory, for ideas. They hunt everything. The realization hit the Council like a physical blow. For millions of years, their species had evolved in relatively safe environments. They had never faced true predators. They didn't even understand what a real predator was like. What do we do now? Grok Khan asked, his earlier confidence completely gone. Kethvar looked around the chamber at the frightened faces of the galaxy's most powerful leaders. I don't know, he admitted. But I do know one thing. This war is not over. The humans are just getting started. As if summoned by his words, every communication device in the chamber began to beep at once. A message was coming through on all frequencies in all languages. The voice that spoke was calm, polite, and absolutely terrifying in its friendliness. Greetings, Galactic Council. This is Ambassador Sarah Chen of Earth. We need to talk. Captain Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the Prometheus Rising, watching the Zephyrian trade hub grow larger on her screen. Her ship hung in space just 500 meters from the alien station, but the Zephyrians had no idea they were there. Captain, their sensors are sweeping right through us, reported Lieutenant Martinez from the sensor station. No reaction at all, Sarah nodded. The stealth technology had taken humanity 30 years to develop, but it was worth the wait. While aliens built sensors to detect known ship designs, humans had built ships that didn't exist on any alien database. How many ships are docked at the station? Sarah asked. 47 cargo vessels, 12 military escorts, and 1 command cruiser, Martinez replied. Total crew estimated at 3,000. Sarah's expression didn't change. 3,000 lives were a huge responsibility, but this mission was too important to abandon. The aliens needed to learn that declaring war on humanity had consequences. Begin Phase 1, she ordered. Around the human ship, space seemed to shimmer. 11 more human vessels appeared from nowhere surrounding the trade hub. The Zephyrians finally detected them, but it was already too late. Alarms screamed through the alien station. Captain Vex Cole, the Zephyrian commander, rushed to his command center. His 6 legs moved quickly across the deck as he tried to understand what was happening. Report, he demanded. 12 unknown ships, sir, his sensor officer replied. They appeared without warning. Design unknown. No match in our database. Vex Cole studied the display. The ships looked strange, with smooth curves instead of the angular designs favored by all known species. They were smaller than Zephyrian vessels, but somehow looked more dangerous. Are they attacking? He asked. No, sir. They're just sitting there. That worried Vex Cole more than an attack would have. In his experience, enemies either attacked immediately or stayed far away. Only humans did things that made no sense. On the Prometheus Rising, Sarah watched the alien response with interest. They're trying to contact us, Martinez reported. Let them wait, Sarah replied. Communications, are we ready for the demonstration? Yes, Captain. All systems are connected to their network. Sarah smiled grimly. While the aliens were trying to figure out what the human ships wanted, her team had been busy. Human technology didn't just hide from alien sensors. It also slipped past alien security systems like they didn't exist. Show them what we can do, she ordered. On the alien station, every screen suddenly displayed the same message in perfect Zephyrian. Attention. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the human vessel Prometheus Rising. We are not here to destroy you. We are here to teach you. Vex Cole's mandibles clicked in confusion. How are they broadcasting on our internal systems? His technical officer, a young Zephyrian named Klexda, ran diagnostic after diagnostic. I don't know, sir. They're not transmitting anything we can detect. It's like the message is coming from inside our own computers. That was exactly what was happening. Human hackers had spent years studying alien computer systems through intercepted communications. They had learned to speak the machine language of every major species in the galaxy. Sir, Klexda continued, his voice shaking. They're not just in our communications. They're in everything. Life support, engines, weapons, navigation. They have complete control of the station. Vex Cole felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. Complete control meant the humans could kill everyone on the station with a thought. But they weren't doing that. Why? The answer came in another message. We could shut down your life support in 30 seconds. We could overload your reactors in 60 seconds. We could open all your airlocks in 90 seconds. We are not doing any of these things because we are not monsters. But we want you to understand something important. Vex Cole waited for the next part of the message, dreading what it might say. You declared war on us because you thought we were weak. You were wrong. We are not weak. We are just different. Watch and learn. On Sarah's ship, the tactical display showed the positions of every Zephyrian vessel in the system. There were hundreds of them, scattered across 12 different locations. It looked like an impossible target for just 12 human ships. Begin Phase 2, Sarah ordered. What happened next would be talked about in alien military academies for generations. The human ships didn't attack the Zephyrian vessels directly. Instead, they attacked something the aliens had never thought to protect: their fuel. Every species in the galaxy used the same basic fuel processing system. Raw materials were refined into usable energy through a complex chemical process. The aliens had spent centuries perfecting this technology, making it more efficient and reliable. They had never made it secure. Human ships fired narrow beams at the Zephyrian vessels. The weapons looked almost harmless, like flashlights in the darkness of space. But those beams carried something more dangerous than any explosive: computer viruses designed specifically for alien fuel systems. Within minutes, every Zephyrian ship in the system began to experience the same problem. Their fuel stopped working properly. Not all at once, which would have been catastrophic, but slowly and surely. Engines lost power. Life support systems switched to backup power. Weapons systems shut down one by one. What's happening to our ships? Vex Cole demanded. Klexda was working frantically at his station. It's the fuel processors, sir. They're not refining properly. The fuel is becoming less and less efficient every minute. Can we fix it? I don't know how, sir. The processors are working perfectly according to their programming, but somehow the programming is wrong. That was the genius of the human attack. They hadn't broken the alien systems. They had reprogrammed them to break themselves. The Zephyrian ships were committing technological suicide, and they couldn't figure out how to stop it. On her ship, Sarah watched the alien fleet slowly lose power. In a few hours, those ships would be completely helpless. Not destroyed, not damaged, just useless, Captain, Martinez called out. We're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian command ship. Put it through. Vex Cole's image appeared on the main screen. The alien commander looked defeated and confused. Human vessel, I am Captain Vex Cole. What do you want? Sarah stepped forward so the alien could see her clearly. She was smaller than any Zephyrian, with no natural weapons or armor. She looked completely harmless. That made her words even more frightening. We want you to deliver a message to your leaders, she said calmly. Tell them that this was a demonstration. We disabled your entire fleet without killing a single alien. We could have done much worse. What kind of message is that? Vex Cole asked. It's a warning, Sarah replied. Your people think war means big fleets fighting big battles. You think victory comes from having the most ships or the biggest guns. You're wrong. She gestured to the tactical display, which now showed dozens of powerless Zephyrian ships drifting in space. We don't fight the way you fight. We don't think the way you think. When you declared war on humanity, you made a mistake. You assumed we would play by your rules? Vex Cole's voice was barely a whisper. What are your rules? Sarah's smile was cold and predatory. We don't have rules. We have results. Your fleet is disabled. Your station is under our control. Your people are safe only because we choose to keep them safe. This is what happens when you pick a fight with humans. The transmission ended, leaving Vex Cole staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew worked desperately to restore power to their ship, but they all knew it was hopeless. The humans had demonstrated something more terrifying than overwhelming firepower. They had shown that alien technology, alien tactics, and alien thinking were all useless against an enemy that didn't follow any known patterns. As the human ships disappeared back into invisibility, leaving the Zephyrians stranded and helpless, Vex Cole realized the truth that would soon spread throughout the galaxy. Humanity didn't just fight wars differently. They fought them better. Dr. Marcus Webb stood before the Human War Council, his presentation ready to explain why humanity was winning a war that should have been impossible to win. The room was filled with Earth's top military leaders, all waiting to understand the science behind their success. "Ladies and gentlemen," Dr. Webb began, "we need to talk about why we're so good at this." General Patricia Hayes, the head of Earth's military forces, leaned forward. "Doctor, our people are asking the same question as the aliens. How are we beating species that have been fighting wars for thousands of years?" Dr. Webb activated his holographic display. It showed the evolutionary tree of various galactic species with humans at the bottom. The answer lies in how we evolved differently from everyone else. The display zoomed in on Earth's history. Every other intelligent species in the galaxy evolved from prey animals or peaceful herbivores. The Zephyrians developed from creatures that hid from predators. The Helix Confederation evolved from small mammals that lived in burrows. The Ursine Empire came from omnivores that mostly ate plants. "And humans?" asked Admiral Rodriguez. "We evolved from persistence hunters," Dr. Webb replied. "For millions of years, our ancestors chased prey across vast distances. We didn't have claws or fangs. We couldn't run fast or jump high. But we had something else. We never gave up." The display showed early humans chasing a mammoth across endless plains. Our ancestors would follow prey for days, weeks even. The animal would run until it was exhausted, then collapse. That's how we survived. Not through strength or speed, but through determination and endurance. Colonel Martinez, recently returned from his mission with Captain Chen, raised his hand. "How does that help us in space battles?" "In every way possible," Dr. Webb answered. "First, let's talk about stress response. When most aliens encounter combat, their fight-or-flight instincts kick in. But they evolved from prey animals, so flight is usually their first choice." He showed brain scans comparing human and alien neural activity during combat situations. "Humans are different. When we face danger, we don't panic, we focus. Our heart rate increases, but our thinking becomes clearer. We literally get better at fighting the longer a battle goes on." General Hayes nodded. "That explains why our soldiers perform so well in extended operations." "Exactly," Dr. Webb continued. "But it goes deeper than that. Most alien species need complex support systems for their military. They require specific foods, controlled environments, regular rest periods. They've evolved to live in stable, predictable conditions." The display showed comparative data on military logistics. Humans can eat almost anything organic. We can sleep in any environment. We can function effectively in extreme heat, cold, high gravity, low gravity. Our bodies are designed to adapt to changing conditions. Admiral Rodriguez looked impressed. "No wonder their supply lines are so vulnerable compared to ours." "There's more," Dr. Webb said. "Let's talk about psychology. Most aliens view violence as an abnormal state that should be ended as quickly as possible. They fight wars to get back to peace. And humans?" General Hayes asked, though she suspected she knew the answer. "Humans are comfortable with violence," Dr. Webb replied. "We don't like it, but we're not afraid of it. We can function normally in violent situations for extended periods. Most importantly, we learn from violence. Each battle teaches us something new." The display showed footage from recent human military operations. "Watch how our soldiers move. They're not just following orders. They're thinking, adapting, improvising. They see each mission as a problem to solve, not just a task to complete." Colonel Martinez stood up. "I've seen this firsthand. When we attacked that Zephyrian trade hub, their response was entirely predictable. They followed standard protocols, did everything by the book. But when their protocols failed, they had no backup plan." "That's the key difference," Dr. Webb agreed. "Aliens learn rules and follow them. Humans learn principles and apply them creatively. When alien tactics fail, they're lost. When human tactics fail, we invent new ones." The presentation moved to a new section: physical capabilities. "Let's talk about endurance. The average human can operate effectively for 18 to 20 hours without rest. Most alien species need rest every 8 to 10 hours. But they're bigger and stronger than us, pointed out Colonel Kim from the Intelligence Division. Size isn't everything, Dr. Webb replied. Yes, a Zephyrian warrior is twice as strong as a human. But strength doesn't matter if you can't use it effectively. He showed videos from recent ground battles. Human soldiers use tools, terrain, and tactics to overcome physical disadvantages. We don't try to outfight aliens. We outsmart them. The video showed human marines defending a mining colony against Zephyrian attackers. The aliens were larger and stronger, but they moved predictably through the tunnels. The humans used mining equipment, explosive charges, and their knowledge of the tunnel system to turn the colony into a maze of death traps. The aliens expected a traditional battle, Dr. Webb explained. Stand in lines, shoot at each other until one side wins. Instead, they got something they'd never encountered: asymmetric warfare. General Hayes paused the video. Explain asymmetric warfare for those who might not be familiar. It's simple, Dr. Webb said. When you can't win a fair fight, you don't fight fair. You use every advantage available to you, even advantages your enemy doesn't recognize as advantages. The display showed tactical diagrams. Humans excel at finding unconventional solutions. We look at a mining laser and see a weapon. We look at asteroid mining equipment and see a way to move planetary masses. We look at civilian infrastructure and see military assets. Admiral Rodriguez was taking notes. This explains why our intelligence operations are so successful. Exactly. Most aliens think in terms of military versus civilian, combatant versus non-combatant. Humans understand that in total war, everything is a potential weapon, Dr. Webb said. The presentation shifted to show psychological profiles. But here's the most important part. Humans are uniquely capable of controlled aggression. Most species are either completely peaceful or completely violent. They can't switch between the two states effectively. And humans can? Asked Colonel Martinez. Humans are the only species that can be perfectly peaceful one moment and absolutely lethal the next, then return to being peaceful again, Dr. Webb explained. We can turn our predatory instincts on and off as needed. He showed footage of human soldiers interacting with alien civilians after a battle. The same humans who had been deadly combatants minutes earlier were now helping injured aliens and distributing food and medical supplies. This terrifies other species, Dr. Webb continued. They understand enemies who are always aggressive. They understand allies who are always peaceful. They don't understand creatures who can be both depending on the situation. General Hayes leaned back in her chair. So we're winning because we're natural-born killers? No, Dr. Webb corrected. We're winning because we're natural-born survivors. Killing is just one tool in our survival toolkit. We're equally good at healing, building, teaching, and protecting. But when something threatens our survival, we become the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. They weren't just fighting a war. They were demonstrating to the galaxy what apex predators looked like when they achieved space travel. What does this mean for the future? Admiral Rodriguez asked. Dr. Webb's expression grew serious. It means the galaxy has never encountered anything like us before. Every other species evolved to fit into an ecosystem. Humans evolved to dominate ecosystems. We don't just adapt to our environment. We change our environment to suit us. And that makes us dangerous, General Hayes concluded. That makes us unstoppable, Dr. Webb corrected. The question isn't whether we can win this war. The question is what we do with the galaxy once we've won it. As the meeting ended, each person in the room understood that they weren't just soldiers or scientists. They were representatives of a species that evolution had designed to be the ultimate survivors. The galaxy was about to learn what that really meant. Admiral Zerthak stood before the largest military gathering in galactic history. Representatives from 7 different species filled the massive command center, their combined fleets representing the most powerful force ever assembled. Fellow commanders, Zerthak began, his forearms gesturing toward the star map. The human threat has grown beyond what any single species can handle. Today, we unite our forces to end this menace once and for all. The assembled aliens nodded in agreement. The Zephyrian Empire, the Ursine Collective, the Serpent Dynasty, the Helix Confederation, the Crystal Mines, the Void Swimmers, and the Iron Brotherhood had never worked together before. But humanity had forced them to put aside thousands of years of rivalry. Commander Velnara of the Helix Confederation raised her small paw. Admiral, our combined fleet numbers over 10,000 ships. Surely that will be enough to overwhelm any human defenses. Numbers are our advantage, agreed General Grok Khan of the Ursine Collective. Humans may be clever, but they cannot be everywhere at once. Zerthak activated the tactical display. It showed human-controlled space, which had grown significantly in the past few months. Red dots marked human colonies. Blue lines showed their shipping routes, and yellow areas indicated space under human influence. Our intelligence suggests humans have fewer than 200 ships, Zerthak reported. We outnumber them 50 to 1. Even if each human ship can defeat 5 of ours, we will still have victory. The plan was simple and overwhelming. The Allied fleet would attack human colonies simultaneously across 12 different star systems. The humans couldn't defend everywhere at once. Even if they won some battles, they would lose the war through sheer attrition. Phase 1 begins in 6 hours, Zerthak announced. We will show these predators that the civilized galaxy will not be intimidated. But the humans had been watching. Hidden sensors throughout alien space had been tracking the massive fleet buildup for weeks. In a secret command bunker deep beneath Earth's surface, Admiral Hayes studied the alien formations. They're moving exactly as predicted, she reported to the War Council. All major alien fleets are concentrating in 3 staging areas. Do we have enough ships to counter them? Asked General Rodriguez. We don't need to counter them, Admiral Hayes replied with a grim smile. We just need to redirect them. The human strategy was unlike anything the aliens expected. Instead of gathering their own fleets for a massive battle, humans had spent the past month turning space itself into a weapon. As the alien alliance moved toward human space, they encountered the first surprise. Admiral Zerthak's flagship detected a strange reading on their long-range sensors. Sir, reported his sensor officer, we're detecting gravitational anomalies ahead. What kind of anomalies? Zerthak demanded. Unknown, sir. It's like gravity is moving. That was exactly what was happening. Human engineers had placed massive gravitational generators throughout their territory. These devices could create artificial gravity wells, bending space-time in ways that made normal navigation impossible. The alien fleet found themselves pulled off course by invisible forces. Ships that should have arrived at their targets in hours instead found themselves drifting toward empty space, their navigation systems completely confused. How is this possible? Demanded Commander Kleksta of the Zephyrian forces. You cannot move gravity. Humans can, replied his science officer. They've weaponized physics itself. As the alien fleet struggled with the gravitational maze, they encountered the second layer of human defenses. Space mines that looked like ordinary asteroids suddenly activated not to explode, but to emit powerful electromagnetic pulses. The pulses didn't destroy the alien ships, but they did something worse. They erased the ship's computer memories. Navigation data, tactical information, communication protocols. Everything was wiped clean. Admiral Zerthak watched in horror as his carefully coordinated attack dissolved into chaos. Ships lost contact with each other. Formation flying became impossible. Some vessels collided with their own allies because their collision avoidance systems had been reset to factory defaults. Sir, his communications officer reported, we're receiving a transmission on all frequencies. From whom? It's coming from inside our own ship, sir. The voice that spoke was calm and professional. Greetings, Admiral Zerthak. This is Admiral Patricia Hayes of Earth's Defense Force. I hope you're enjoying our little demonstration. Zerthak looked around his command center in disbelief. How are you speaking through our systems? The same way we've been doing everything else, Admiral Hayes replied. We studied your technology and found ways to make it work for us instead of you. On her flagship hidden deep in an asteroid field, Admiral Hayes watched the alien fleet's distress with satisfaction. They still don't understand, she said to her staff. They think this is about ship-to-ship combat. The third layer of the human defense system activated. Across multiple star systems, artificial intelligence programs that had been quietly infiltrating alien computer networks for months suddenly revealed themselves. These AI programs didn't attack the alien systems directly. Instead, they began sending false information. Sensor readings showed enemy ships where none existed. Navigation computers calculated jump coordinates that led to empty space. Communication systems received fake orders from non-existent commanders. The alien fleet began attacking itself. Ships fired on their own allies, thinking they were human vessels. Formations scattered as captains received contradictory orders from what they believed were their superiors. "This is impossible," shouted General Grok Khan as his ship's weapons automatically targeted a Zephyrian cruiser. "Our own systems are working against us." "Not against you," came Admiral Hayes's voice through their speakers. "They're working for us. We've been inside your networks for months, learning how everything works. Now we're teaching your machines to obey us instead of you." Commander Velnara, her small ship spinning helplessly through space after its navigation system failed, spoke into her communicator. "Admiral Hayes, why are you doing this? Why not just destroy us?" "Because we're not monsters," Admiral Hayes replied. "We could have filled this space with antimatter bombs. We could have collapsed stars and turned entire systems into death traps. But we didn't want to kill you. We wanted to teach you." "Teach us what?" Xerthak demanded, his voice filled with desperation. "That you never understood what you were fighting," Admiral Hayes answered. "You thought this was a war between fleets. But we don't fight fleet battles. We fight smart battles." As she spoke, the alien commanders began to realize the true scope of the human strategy. They had brought 10,000 ships to fight 200, but location of the battle was never space. The battle was in their own computer systems, their own sensor networks, their own communication channels. The humans had turned the aliens' greatest strength, their advanced technology, into their greatest weakness. "You see?" Admiral Hayes continued. "You built your technology to be reliable and predictable. That made it easy for us to understand and control. We built our technology to be adaptable and creative. That makes it impossible for you to counter." Admiral Xerthak's flagship drifted powerlessly as his crew tried desperately to regain control of their systems. Around him, the greatest military force in galactic history was falling apart without firing a shot. "What do you want from us?" he asked, defeat clear in his voice. "We want you to go home," Admiral Hayes replied. "We want you to tell your leaders that this war is over. You can end it now with dignity, or we can end it for you in ways you won't like." "And if we refuse?" There was a long pause before Admiral Hayes answered. When she spoke again, her voice carried a cold certainty that chilled every alien who heard it. "Then we stop being nice." As if to demonstrate her point, every alien ship in the fleet suddenly received the same data package. It contained detailed schematics of their homeworlds, complete tactical analyses of their defenses, and step-by-step plans for how humans could disable their entire civilizations without killing a single person. The message was clear. "We know where you live. We know how you live, and we can take it all away whenever we choose." The Great Galactic Alliance had come to destroy humanity. Instead, they learned that humanity had already won the war before it started. The only question remaining was whether the aliens would surrender with honor, or be forced to surrender without it. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked into the rebuilt Galactic Council chamber 6 months after the Alien Alliance's defeat. The room looked the same, but everything else had changed. The same 12 species sat around the circular table, but now there was a 13th chair, humanity's chair. The mood was very different from the last time aliens had gathered here. Instead of panic and confusion, there was careful respect mixed with barely hidden fear. Everyone knew that the balance of power in the galaxy had shifted forever. "Honored representatives," Sarah began, her voice calm and professional. "We are here to discuss the future of galactic civilization." Admiral Kethvar, still representing the Zephyrian Empire despite his military failures, spoke first. "Ambassador Chen, your people have demonstrated their capabilities. What are your terms for peace?" Sarah smiled, but it wasn't the cold, predatory smile the aliens had learned to fear. This was something warmer, more genuine. "Admiral, you're still thinking about this wrong. We're not here to dictate terms. We're here to prevent future misunderstandings." Velnara of the Helix Confederation leaned forward. "What kind of misunderstandings?" "The kind that led to this war," Sarah replied. "Your species declared war on humanity because you thought we were weak and primitive. You were wrong, but that wasn't entirely your fault. You didn't understand what you were looking at." She activated a holographic display showing Earth's early radio transmissions. "For decades, you listened to our communications and concluded that we were a simple, peaceful species. You heard our music, our entertainment programs, our civilian chatter. You thought that was all we were." General Grok Khan shifted uncomfortably in his massive chair. "What else should we have heard?" "Nothing," Sarah replied. Because we didn't want you to hear anything else. Every signal we sent into space was carefully designed to make us look harmless and primitive. The aliens exchanged worried glances. They had based their entire assessment of humanity on decades of intercepted communications. You mean you were spying on us from the beginning? Asked Thiska of the Serpent Collective. We were learning about you, Sarah corrected. When we discovered we weren't alone in the galaxy, we faced a choice. We could announce ourselves and hope for the best, or we could study the situation first and prepare for the worst. You chose to prepare for war, Kethvar said accusingly. We chose to prepare for survival, Sarah replied. And it's a good thing we did because some of you chose war the moment you thought we were weak enough to conquer. The room fell silent. The aliens couldn't argue with the truth. They had indeed planned to subjugate humanity, based on nothing more than the assumption that humans would be easy targets. Sarah continued her presentation. But we're not here to discuss the past. We're here to build a better future. The war is over. Humanity has no interest in conquering or destroying anyone. We want something much more valuable. What's that? Felnara asked nervously. We want peace, Sarah said simply. Real peace. Not the kind of peace you had before, where strong species bullied weak ones. We want a galaxy where strength is used to protect, not to exploit. Admiral Zerthak, who had been quiet since his fleet's humiliating defeat, finally spoke. And who decides what counts as protection versus exploitation? Sarah's expression grew serious. We do. The simple statement sent a chill through the room. Every alien present understood what she meant. Humanity had appointed itself as the galaxy's policeman, and they had the power to enforce their decisions. Let me be clear about what this means, Sarah continued. From now on, any species that attacks another species will have to deal with us. Any government that oppresses its people will have to answer to us. Any military that threatens civilians will face our response. You're talking about galactic domination, Grok-Khan said angrily. No, Sarah replied calmly. We're talking about galactic protection. There's a difference. She changed the display to show recent developments throughout alien space. In the past 6 months, we've stopped 3 wars, ended 2 genocides, and prevented countless smaller conflicts. Not through conquest, but through intervention. The data was undeniable. Humanity had used its newfound influence to bring peace to regions that had been fighting for generations. How do you define intervention? Asked Klexta, a young Zephyrian who had been promoted after the war. We start by asking nicely, Sarah explained. We send diplomatic messages. We offer mediation services. We provide economic incentives for peaceful solutions. And if that doesn't work? Thaiska asked. Sarah's smile returned, colder this time. Then we ask less nicely. She showed footage of a recent incident where the crystal mines had attempted to invade a primitive world. A single human ship had appeared in orbit and politely requested that the invasion force withdraw. When they refused, Sarah narrated, we demonstrated our point. The video showed the crystal mine fleet suddenly losing all power and drifting helplessly in space. Their weapons, engines, and life support systems had simply stopped working. No one was killed, Sarah pointed out. No ships were destroyed. But the invasion ended immediately. Felnara spoke up again. What about species that don't want human protection? What if we prefer to handle our own affairs? Then you're free to do so, Sarah replied, as long as your affairs don't harm others. We're not interested in controlling how you run your societies. We only care about preventing violence and oppression. The presentation moved to its final section, but we're not just here to talk about what we'll stop you from doing. We're here to talk about what we can help you accomplish. The display showed technological specifications that made the aliens gasp. Advanced medical techniques, clean energy systems, space travel improvements, technologies that were decades ahead of anything the aliens possessed. These are gifts, Sarah explained. We're sharing them freely with any species that commits to peaceful cooperation with their neighbors. Admiral Kethvar studied the data in amazement. This medical technology could save millions of lives across our empire. Exactly, Sarah said. We could have kept these advances to ourselves, maintaining our technological superiority. Instead, we're giving them away, because that's what the strong do for the weak. They help them become stronger. What's the catch? Grok-Khan asked suspiciously. There's no catch, Sarah replied, but there is a requirement. Any species that uses our technology must agree to use it responsibly. Medical advances are for healing, not for creating biological weapons. Energy technology is for improving lives, not for building more powerful military systems. And if someone breaks that agreement, Thaiska wanted to know. Then the technology stops working, Sarah said simply. We've built safeguards into everything we share. Try to weaponize our medical advances and they become inert. Try to use our energy systems for military purposes and they shut down. The implications were staggering. Humanity wasn't just offering to share their technology. They were offering to transform galactic civilization itself. Velnara was the first to speak. This is unprecedented. No species has ever offered to lift others up to their level. Because no species has ever been in our position, Sarah replied. Most civilizations develop alongside others, competing for resources and territory. We developed in isolation, with no one to compete against except ourselves. That taught us something important. What's that? That the best way to stay strong is to make everyone around you stronger too. A galaxy full of prosperous, peaceful civilizations is safer for everyone, including us. As the meeting drew to a close, each alien representative understood that they faced a choice. They could accept humanity's protection and gifts, embracing a new era of peace and prosperity, or they could resist and face the consequences of opposing the galaxy's new apex predators. But it wasn't really a choice at all. Humanity had demonstrated that resistance was futile. The only rational response was cooperation. As Sarah prepared to leave, Admiral Keithvar asked one final question. Ambassador, what happens if another threat emerges? Something that even humans can't handle? Sarah paused at the door and looked back at the assembled aliens. Then we face it together. That's what we've been trying to tell you. We're not your conquerors. We're your guardians. And when something threatens our galaxy, it threatens our family. The room remained silent long after she left. Outside, human ships patrolled the star lanes, their invisible presence ensuring that peace continued to reign. The galaxy had learned to coexist with apex predators, and to their surprise they discovered that life under human protection was better than anything they had known before. The age of constant warfare was over. The age of human peace had begun. And somewhere in the darkness between galaxies, ancient sensors detected something approaching from the void. Soon the galaxy would learn that humanity's greatest test wasn't conquering their neighbors. It was protecting them from something far worse. But that would be another story for another day.